Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason, as always, my co-host, the voice of MMA in Utah, Mr. Zack Partridge.
Oh, God.
Little fighter spotlight, welcoming back Mr. David Kim, who will be fighting October 23rd for the SteelFist Fight Night promotion. You and Zack are actually fighting on the same card. David, welcome back.
Yes, we are. I'm grateful to share it.
It'll be fun, man.
And we're glad to have you back. Hey, I got one question before we even get started. How good does it feel to not have to be fighting a Beaver Kai guy this time?
Man, I can't believe how stressful that was. You know, just is so many people there from Beaver. Man, that was crazy. No, they're actually super cool. So after the fight, I got my T-shirt, and I really like Andreas and Kyle. Like, they're super cool guys. So we haven't had the chance to train because at one point, Kyle's younger brother was going to fight Boyd, one of my teammates, but that kind of fell through. So maybe after this whole camp and everything, we'll have to have them up.
Nice.
Yeah, we're finding this weird balance. I feel like with social media and stuff, fighters are becoming a lot more friendly with each other, which is, I think, is positive for the growth of the sport. It's moving away from the I hate you, you hate me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there could still be friendly competition and rivalry, but at the end of the day, it's competition and squashed. And so because of that, we're seeing more and more fighters mix, cross-train and train with each other. But then you're also training with or in the same room with against whatever potential future opponents. It's a very weird balance.
Yeah. No, I've always been that way. You know, even when I wrestled, I was pretty good friends with just about almost everyone I wrestled. There were a couple kids I hated, but for the most part, I was friends with like everyone I wrestled. And I've noticed that even at the pro level, you know, like you have only a select few big gyms, especially in Utah, you know, people kind of have to pack together and, you know, it's kind of Utah versus the world.
Yeah, you know, it really is. It really is. I remember we had some guys come up and train at our gym, and I just remember one of them was in a weight class as one of our pros, and it was like, yeah, it's all good. Like, yeah, we might fight down the line, but like we can help each other get better now. And you know, I don't know. It is interesting to watch MMA evolve into more of a like you said, like our whole state trying to like come together to help each other level up to, I don't know, be a little bit more respected. I feel like Utah doesn't get a lot of respect as like a hotbed for MMA, you know, in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of, and we'll get into this, but we have a lot of people from Vegas and, you know, out of state come and try to beat us. And so we got to hold down the fort, you know?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I know him. We've gotten to be pretty good friends with our buddy Kai Stewart, but after he beat your teammate, he said, yeah, bring on all the Utah boys. I love beating Utah boys. And it's like, we can line some up for you, bro.
Right? Yeah, that's definitely one we want to get back for our team. So we'll have to put them against Utah's best.
I'm trying to get him and Cole Faust.
You should. That would be a good fight.
We tried.
It'd be a good fight. Good. They both have excellent wrestling, so that would be a really exciting fight.
I watched his bare knuckle fight the other night. He actually looked really good. I was a little worried about it because he actually beat the guy in MMA not that long ago.
Oh wow!
With his wrestling, took him down, ground and pound TKO. So the guy wanted it back in bare knuckle, and he took it to him. Man, the kid's got talent.
That's sweet. Good for him.
So David, I'm looking up on Tapology, and there's another David Kim in Texas that stole your name. He goes by David Agima Kim.
How dare he? How dare he? No, what happened? Yeah, so you know Tapology, that kind of happened. So when I was going into my last fight, I was 4-4. It felt really good to, you know, break even and, you know, get above the 500. And then they actually made a new one for me. I had to email them and do all of that. So just want to know, you know.
Yeah, my second opponent, when I was putting it up on Tapology, it said I was fighting an 0-0 guy, and I emailed Tapology and was like, actually, it's the same guy as this one over here. Combine the two, you know. So it was,
yeah. I think for one shining moment, I was the 15th best amateur lightweight in Texas. So I take pride with that one.
You should have hung on to that.
Oh yeah.
That's all right. You'll get it back. You'll get it here in Utah.
Yeah, that's the hope.
So speaking of fighting out of town guys, you are fighting a guy from Las Vegas for this fight. What do you know about Noah?
Noah's tough, man. Like this is not, I'm definitely the underdog. Like I'll put it that way. He's a really talented fighter. Good boxing. He's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He's won multiple fights by submission, if I recall. And then his last fight, just at Fierce, was against a really talented opponent in Monabot. Went all 5 rounds, so full 15 minutes. So he has good cardio. So I'm definitely not sleeping on this one. But I also know that I'm a world-class fighter, and I know that I can prove that next Saturday. Yeah, next Saturday.
Yeah.
Next Saturday. It's coming up quick, man.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So fast.
I was just telling Zach, I'm like, dude, I haven't even registered that he's fighting. Like I see him almost every day, and we talk every day, and I'm like, you're fighting in 2 weeks? Like crazy.
Yeah. This camp's had a different vibe for me for sure. But did we lose it? No, he's good. So what did you take away from his 5-round title fight against Desmond Monabot?
He's tough, has a really good jab, really good kicks, and obviously that was right as they were changing the rule change. So I'm going to expect a lot of head kicks, body kicks, all of that. And I know from people and just from what I've seen, he's really good at jiu-jitsu as well. So I think on the ground we'll have some pretty good exchanges.
Should be fun.
Where do you are there holes and stuff that you feel like your game's ready to exploit?
Yes, sir. There definitely is. I'm a very similar body type to Desmond.
Yeah.
So I think I can implement some of the things that he did, and also implement some of the things that he didn't do to execute the win for sure.
I like it. This is gonna be a really. I think this is a really good fight. What do you think? This is your second amateur MMA fight, but even as long as I've been in it. So Noah, he has an experience advantage in the cage than you. But like you said, you've been wrestling since you were a little kid. Like how do you feel like those experience wrestling and competing? How does that make you feel going into fights with somebody that you feel like you're the underdog with?
Yeah, definitely on paper, I'm the underdog. I should put it that way. So for the betting odds or whatever you want to say, he's definitely has the advantage with the experience and the record and all of that. But for me, my last fight, against Beaver Kai, as I was about to walk out, Dane, my coach, Aristizabal, who's, by the way, one of the best coaches in Utah.
Yes,
he turned to me and he told me, you've been a lifelong martial artist. I started martial arts when I was 6 years old or 5 years old. Started at the park doing karate, and I was so excited that I wore a bathrobe because I thought it looked like a gi. Like that's how stoked I was,
There we go.
So I've loved martial arts my entire life, and I really am a lifelong martial artist, starting with Taekwondo as a kid and moving on to a little more combat sports. And it's been a wonderful experience. So I think I can take all of that experience of being able to grind it out and use my distance and all those things that we talk about as MMA fighters to my advantage that I've been working on over the years. In my last fight, I only took one punch, if that. It was a hammer strike while I was armbarring the guy. So I'm excited to kind of display a little bit more of my defense and offense striking, kind of being more of a mixed martial artist. So it was a pretty grappling heavy fight if you go back and watch. So I'm excited to kind of put it on them.
Do you anticipate this fight being on the feet more than your last fight?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So my last fight, just somehow we got on a bunch of scrambles, and there was in the second round of my last fight, I tried to stand with him. I actually thought I could win standing, but right as I punched him, he came in for the clinch. And so I just went to plan B, which was take him down and choke him out. So I'm excited to fight a little more standing. And then obviously he's a good grappler too. So I think we're going to have some good exchanges.
And say one thing that you see, we obviously know your gym and we know your pedigree and stuff, and you're a very good grappler in your own right. Usually when you see two good grapplers, you respect his, he respects yours. That usually tends to say, okay, we know we both can catch each other probably somewhere, but not there. So it just happens to stay on the feet. Or you see two like heavy punchers, kind of like they fill each other out like for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm really interested to watch your fight. What about teammates? Do you have any teammates on this card with you?
Yeah, we got a couple. We got Cole Harris. So he had fought Kulu.
Yep.
Bedford Fierce. So he came over to our gym. He's fighting for us. We have Andrew Mickelson, and then for the main event, I believe we have Robbie Minor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Robbie's
he's going to be fighting, and Robbie, Sula. That's kind of been my crew. We're the light heavyweights. We're the tiny heavyweights because we all fight like heavyweights in the gym. But we're all under 150 pounds. So we go hard and been able to train with a lot of them. So Robbie's getting prepared too, and he's looking really good.
I sent him a message to come on the podcast. You need to tell him to get his butt on the podcast with us.
Yeah, but he was supposed to come to training this morning, but I think he's switched his schedule a little bit, so I'll see him tonight.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that Zach and I just talked about it, that I don't think he gets enough credit of how good he's improved, even just since the beginning days, because I've watched his earlier fights in SteelFist, and making that move down to Agima and the changes that he's made, he's just improved tenfold. Like, I mean, a lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, you saw his last fight. That was impressive, and that was not against, Leko's really tough.
Hey,
he's
good.
We
follow Leko. We talked to Leko.
We sponsor Leko.
We sponsor Leko.
Leko.
Like,
so,
he's legit. Like,
that was a big win.
He's literally training with the UFC champ right now at 125. Yeah. Like, that's who he trains with. Like, the guys, and Robbie beat him. Like, that's
guess who Robbie trains with? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm just giving him crap. No, yeah. So no, Robbie's super tough, super talented. I think if Robbie gets a couple more wins under his belt and under that 125 weight class, just across the world, but specifically in the UFC, is really growing. I think he has a place there. If he keeps winning.
I agree.
Well, he has the good formula, right? Like, I think a lot of you guys do. Your style does. Aleko's does, but like a lot of those guys that we're seeing, and for whatever reason, I don't see a lot of those guys. Me and Jason watch, fights from all across the country and all the time. And I kind of feel like between SteelFist and Fierce and some of the 125ers and 135ers and those lower weight classes, we seem to see a lot of high level guys that I think that you're going to see them there in the UFC or other big promotions coming in the future. Like I don't know why. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe the little guys just don't get enough respect because, like, the 135 division in the UFC has quickly become one of the 2 or 3 top most interesting divisions in the sport.
David,
go ahead.
Who's your favorite fighter in the UFC right now?
Right now, oh man. So last time when we chatted, we talked a little bit about how I try to emulate Michael Chandler just because of my body type and Chad Mendes, but my favorite fighter has to be the Korean Zombie. So a little biased because I'm half Korean, if you didn't know. But I freaking love that dude. He is fire. So he was super cool. I was down in Vegas for Premier Martial Arts last weekend. And I got to see one of my favorite fighters at Syndicate, Dan Hooker. So he's one of my favorite fighters to watch because he just gives it all out and just goes super hard. So those would probably be my 2 favorites right now.
He should be one of everybody's favorite fighters.
Yeah.
Like, for him to take the fight that he's taking on a quick turnaround is kind of insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I was fortunate enough to kind of be there during a wrestling class. They hired Frank Hickman, I think, so one of his wrestling coaches. So I kind of got to see, them try to emulate the Smesh Factory and try their best to be Islam. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch.
I saw early odds had Islam as -700 favorite, which may have to sprinkle a little bit on Hooker on that one.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
It's a fight. Anything can happen. We've seen worse things happen. Crazier things happen, I should say.
Yeah, right. And obviously Court McGee's probably my favorite fighter in the UFC.
Probably.
So, you probably should have said that one first.
Yeah,
I was just with him this morning, so yeah. So definitely, he's number one. Chan Sung Jung's number 2, and Dan Hooker's number 3.
When he comes on the podcast, I'm telling on you. I'm gonna say, just so you know, David didn't bring you up.
I got the tape, so
he waited to the very end to give you a shout out. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So last but not least, right? Court.
Yep.
Definitely my favorite.
So as somebody that's a lifelong martial artist and a wrestling base and stuff like that. So at some point, and I've had the same conversation with Cole Faust, at some point, our amateurs are going to have to start studying those Dagestani wrestlers.
Yeah, right.
Probably sooner rather than later, and start learning how to solve that puzzle. And Chris Curtis broke it down for us, actually. I can't remember if it was on a podcast or when we were just talking.
He was at the fights.
And he said, he goes, you just have to understand their process. Their steps are just different than what we learn here. And like when you guys wrestle, like, you're chain wrestling, their steps are just different. But once you understand their steps and where they're going to go next, he said you can actually start to combat that a little bit, but you have to understand where they're coming from first in their progression with things. And Chris just got signed by the UFC, so that was cool. But he says once you start wrestling with them a little bit, you have to get initiated into that like brotherhood. Have you ever watched them and tried to break down like Khabib or Islam or anybody like that?
Yeah, their cage wrestling's phenomenal. Obviously, Khabib, he's not so much of an open wrestler, though he can. It's really on the cage. Whereas I feel like Islam's kind of all over the place. Like he can do it all, really. Islam's pretty talented.
Yeah, he's got the stand-up.
He's an evolved Khabib. I'm not saying he's better, but he's an evolved one.
Yeah.
Scott just says the guys at AKA can't figure him out either.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was thinking the same thing actually, because AKA they do their chain wrestling very similar. If you watch Daniel Cormier or some of the other people, they do a similar thing with their outside single to the pipe, run the pipe, take it to the cage, switch to a double. Yeah, they kind of have a similar flow with it.
Yeah.
So I guess we got to ask, how do you see the fight ending on October 23rd?
Man, I had my last fight finish up in 2 rounds with a stoppage via rear naked choke. I think that this one might be the same. I'm going to put my money on 2nd round rear naked choke again.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it. I like that you have the
confidence for you. Real prediction. No wishy-washy answer. How about that?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah. So, this camp, I was going to get a lot more sponsors, but life gets in the way, and I just kind of decided to focus on the camp. And, I still go to school. I'm in my last semester, working full time, all of that. So definitely, shout out to my gym at Gima Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. I also wanted to shout out Court McGee's foundation, the McGee Project. He's speaking this week, and I think that's a really good cause. And then finally, my employer, Premier Martial Arts, man, just got back from Vegas, was able to get some advice from Master Ken, if you know who that is. So Master of Amaradote. So that was pretty sweet. He told me to kick the groin and walk away. So that was pretty good. But
hey, it works.
Yeah. But actually, so a personal friend that Jason and I have, her name's Gabby. Her school up in Riverton is having an opening for a martial arts instructor full time.
Oh, nice.
So if you guys know anyone who wants to empower lives through martial arts, we teach kids kickboxing and self-defense. So we do a lot of that fun stuff. It's not McDojo-y only if you make it, right? So we teach some pretty legit stuff. So if anyone wants a job full time, reach out to me or someone on the team.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Well, we look forward to seeing you October 23rd back in the cage. How do people get tickets from you?
They can follow me on Instagram at DavidHJKim7. So yeah, just reach out to me there, Facebook, or you can text me, call me, whatever you need to do. If you need to call Premier Martial Arts, you can do that too. Have them funnel to me. So yeah, you can get tickets anytime.
Roger that, man.
Pack that place, man.
Pack the place, baby. October 23rd, SteelFist Fight Night. We will see you there, David. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yep.
Boom. And